are Geeks Not Nerds. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince.
Vince, today we're going to be doing a bunch of topics.
A whole lot of them, like a list.
A whole list of topics.
From you guys.
So folks send us questions all the time, and not always are they things that we feel like we either know enough about or just have enough to say to do an entire Geeks Not Nerds on. So what we decided to do was kind of a Geeks Not Nerds Q&A. Now, we didn't do a video asking people to make a bunch of questions because we have them already. I did go ahead and post in a couple places, hey, if there's something you've been wanting to ask us but you haven't, or there's something you're not sure that we remember to log, or something like that. If you're like, I want to make sure that they get to this, send that to us. So we did get a few extra things, and we'll try to tackle those if we can. Now, let me preface this whole thing by saying you may have sent us a question that you won't hear on this. You may have sent us a question recently or a long time ago that you still will at some point see a whole video on. Because several of the things, even some things that were sent to us recently, we went, oh yeah, we can make a whole video on that. So we have logged them, which we do. We make a list of things.
Yeah, we dragged it out into the middle of a lake and then I hit it with a log. That was dumb.
You guys remember back when Vince was funny? No. Anyway, so...
hop on our DeLorean and find that guy. That'll be fun.
So anyway, just so everybody knows, we get tons and tons of these, and we only make 4 GNNs a month. So you may have asked a question 6 months ago that we have on a list that we still are at some point planning on bringing out and doing. So I don't want people to feel like just because we haven't responded to a question you've sent us, or just because we haven't done it yet, means that we're not necessarily going to get to it. Everything that was sent, we will either at some point get to on a Q&A, or we will do a whole video on, or I have sent you a message and said that for whatever reason we can't do that, or we have talked about it somewhere else already. So anyway, that's the big preface. Here comes the list. And once again, if you don't hear your question on here, it probably will be a full video later. And feel free to send me a message and ask me, but we're not going to reveal everything we're going to do later on, because it's more fun if it's a surprise. Yeah,
this is a list compiled by Norman Osborn of people that we need to kill. I'm kidding.
And the first person on that list is 54 Everglorious, who asks, should Star Wars be rebooted?
I'm going to stick by my guns and say I like the original 3. I mean, would it be okay if they rebooted it? Sure, I'm not going to say it would be bad, but I like the original 3 enough that I don't need to see a reboot.
Yeah, I can't imagine a Star Wars reboot. As much sheer stuff as there is. Now, I think I would have said the same thing years ago about Star Trek. You know what I mean? I mean, there's so much of it I would have had a hard time imagining it rebooted, but... yeah, I don't think so. I kind of... because I'm not sure you could ever possibly do better than the original trilogy, and I would hate to see you try, especially if it was rebooted with the original characters like they did with Star Trek. I certainly wouldn't want to see that happen.
Yeah, I mean, because the question is, should it be rebooted, not can it be rebooted?
Well, that's true.
Can it be rebooted? Sure, why not? But that doesn't mean that it should be.
Can it be done well? And I think part of the reason maybe this is being asked is a lot of people don't like the new trilogy, and people have said, hey, let's retcon that. So would I like to perhaps see the new trilogy retconned and then more stuff closer to the old trilogy be made? Yeah, that'd be okay. That'd be okay with me.
It's hard to capture some of the classic effects with modern technology. I mean, there's a certain reality that doesn't come through the modern tech.
The Sorrow696 asks, how do you guys feel about the brand new Thing prequel trailer?
I'm going to also take the statement I just made and apply it to that.
Okay.
One of the cool things about the original Thing movie is that it's about... there's so much done with this, like, real effects, things that you can touch, things that you can feel. And, I don't know. I could see a little bit, not a whole lot, because of course they kept the monster very much on the background of the prequel, but a lot of...
as far as we can see in the trailer, yeah.
So they didn't show their hand, and that's good. They used a little bit of CG, which is okay, I don't care. But I'm a little afraid that they're going to make the same movie over again, maybe with just some modern tech and new actors.
Yeah, my thought on the trailer was, I mean, it looks top notch, just as far as the effects and stuff. I mean, like, the filmmaking. I mean, it looks good from what we can see of it, but I question the validity of making it a prequel when it's very obviously the same story, or at least it looks like, and they're calling it The Thing. It seems like they're remaking it, but they want it to be in continuity things. So it's a remake in the sense that you could go see it if you haven't seen the original. Yeah. I'm not sure what the point of that is.
I mean, part of the original movie's thing was that they had to do the thing. the group that was found to be largely dead, it was this sort of foreboding. It was saying, oh my God, what happened here? And now these guys are just coming in, and we're gonna see what happened here. But what happened here is exactly what happened to the crew in the 80s. I mean, it's going to be the same thing. A monster's going to kill them.
Strider Diaz asks, what Joss Whedon alumni would work in the Marvel Film Universe, and as which characters? There was talk at one point about Nathan Fillion playing Hank Pym, and I thought that would have been a good choice.
That's okay. You know, Nathan Fillion's a good enough actor that as long as the character's a little quirky and a little fun, I can see him being that.
Of course, I mean, now that I think that character has been cast, or is he even in the movie? I'm not sure. Now that I think about it, I'm not sure.
I don't recall.
Maybe not. Okay, anyway. But I don't know, other people, like... The only other stuff that I thought of were things that aren't actually in that continuity, but are Marvel characters. Like, I thought of, like, Elisha Dushku as the Black Cat. Maybe. It's an idea I had. I don't know.
I don't necessarily want to cast him because, you know, my opinion isn't going to affect their opinion in any way.
So
why not cast?
Well, for some people it's fun. You're not actually casting them. You're just saying, who do I think would be cool for this role?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, that's kind of where I'm coming down on it. I wouldn't mind seeing Adam Baldwin play somebody because I like that guy.
Yeah. My thing is, Whedon knows how to cast, and he's used a lot of really great actors before, and I'd love to see a lot of his alumni show up somewhere. But as who? I don't know. I like to be surprised by those sorts of things.
Yeah.
I think what we're saying is we're just not big fans of the whole fan casting thing. Like, no offense to anybody, we just don't. It's not our cup of tea. We don't love doing it. So.
Yeah. You know, I used to like reading Wizard when they did that, but
it's fun to see other people do it. I'm not any good at it. I don't keep up enough with current actors. I'm just no good at it. It's part of my problem. I have a question for you. Mainly, I'm sorry, and this comes from Catmore9. Mainly Vince, since he's the Punisher Max fan. May I say, however, that I am a huge fan of the current Punisher Max. Would you say that Jason Aaron's writing is on par with Garth Ennis? Your answer here will probably determine if I buy the Kingpin and Bullseye collections. Oh, he's talking about current Punisher Max. Well, that's not fair, because I read that too. But I don't know much about Garth Ennis, so go ahead.
I think that there is a definite difference in the way it's handled, but I think that it's worthwhile. I mean, there was a lot of reservations that I had about the Punisher Max thing going in, considering they brought in Kingpin and Bullseye, but they're handling it well. I mean, there's still a definite level of sick that Garth Ennis had that Aaron is able to pick up.
Oh, he's got some sick, yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of the things is that it was always edgy.
I watched Vince in one of the early issues go like this, and if it makes Vince do that, you know it's kind of it's. You know what I'm talking about. We won't bring it up, but you know the panel I'm talking about.
So, do I think you should buy it? I'm going to ask you this question. I know you can't respond because this is a video. But I'm going to ask you this question. If you've read Garth Ennis' stuff, did you like Punisher Born? If you like that, then you should definitely pick up the Kingpin and the Bullseye and this current arc of Punisher.
Well, thank you, resident professor on the Punisher.
Is it on par? Yes, okay. It is just as good in my mind.
The Proto-Alex. If there was, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. If there was a Batman story where an all-new villain forced Batman to use only a gun for self-defense, how would you handle it? Note, he gives us prerequisites. Batman is captured and has no utility belt.
Well, I think Batman probably has the ability to handle things without a gun. And without a utility belt, so he would probably use the gun sparingly.
I don't think he would use the gun as a gun. I think he would find something else to do with it. Like, I think he'd use it as a blunt object. I think he might hit somebody in the face with it. I mean, he'd probably be like, I don't like guns, and I don't even like having it in my hand. I think that Batman goes that far to, I don't even like being around this object. Because I think this is an interesting psychology for Batman. It's not just what guns do and what they stand for in just what what guns are, but just like what it means for him and his background. So when he sees a gun, it's a symbol of his background. And so I imagine that it would be interesting simply because Batman having to even be in a room with a gun is probably a big deal for him, psychologically. I think it's the same kind of symbol as the bat. Well, it's not the same kind, but I mean, it's as symbolic of an item as the bat is to him, for a different reason.
That's a good point. And we are also talking about current Batman. Batman has in the past been depicted as using guns.
Well, that's true. Yeah, I'm talking about current Batman. No, you're absolutely right.
So the way that we've come to accept him now, no, he wouldn't kill people. I mean, why not?
Should he have shot Darkseid? Because people ask me that all the time.
Should he kill the Joker?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a character's morality, and should and did are two different things.
Well, yeah, yes, naturally.
So,
but I'm just saying that a lot of fans were really, really angry that happened. So, like, does that bother you that you saw Batman in a panel use a gun against another character, even if it was Darkseid?
I don't know. I think characters have their breaking points, and I think we should allow characters to have their limits. Like, for example, I don't necessarily think that we should allow characters to kill, but I think we should allow characters to go through story arcs that would allow them to make decisions, whether that be a character's deservedness to live or die.
We also mentioned that there's a couple questions here from the same person, and I'm for now going to skip those just so that we get to more people. Chicka Chicka Boom Guy asks, "Hey guys, I hear you're short on questions for your GNN Q&A." No, we're not. So here's one. If you could cast anyone in a Spawn movie, who would you cast? Once again, casting things.
Oh, Adam Baldwin.
I tell you what, his name's not coming to me right now. I don't know why, but the guy who voiced him back in the animated series, I would really like to see voice him again. I think that Spawn is a character who, if I were going to do a Spawn movie, I would keep him kind of in the background, and you wouldn't even necessarily ever have to see his face. So whoever played him, I would be totally cool, even in a live-action film, with getting that guy back to voice him, even though he, is too old to play the role. Just because, in my mind, that's Spawn. That's what Spawn sounds like, is the Spawn from the animated series. And even if you don't especially love that series, and a lot of people don't, I still totally dig just his voice. So anyway, that's always been like the ultimate Spawn for me. But as far as other people, I don't know, man. I would want to see a Spawn movie with entirely people I've never seen before. Like, I would want to see a Sam and Twitch that were new actors who totally fit the roles but were nobodies, so that I could go, that's Sam and Twitch. So that's a cop-out, but that's my answer.
Yeah. I'm not a big enough fan of Spawn. To be perfectly frank, I think I maybe read one Spawn issue, and I don't know what that is.
I'll get you more into it, because
yes.
really,
I'm not against it.
It's not something that you would hate, I don't think. Like, well, anyway, I'll let you say. I've got most of it. So. Would The Dark Knight have been improved? I'm sorry, this is Sid Part 2. Sid Part 2. Would The Dark Knight have been improved in any way if instead of Jim Gordon's son being the featured character, they used his daughter?
You had something to say about that earlier. So
yeah,
I'm going to concede to this one as well.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Because you had a good point.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Well, my answer to that is, in The Dark Knight, Two-Face, toward the end of the film in the third act, well, you can't even break that movie up into acts. That's what's weird about it. Toward the end of that movie, Two-Face is holding his gun to Jim Gordon's son's head, not the daughter. And that was a big deal for me in the theater, partly because I didn't remember Jim Gordon having a son. I found out later that he does. But like at the time I was like, wow, he's got a son in this continuity, and now Two-Face is thinking about shooting him. And the stakes were high at that point because I was thinking, well, there's no way that Nolan would ever have him kill Barbara Gordon, but his son, like, this is a character that is not huge in the Batman mythos, even if he exists. At least he wasn't at that point. And so I was like, he might do that. So I remember being in the theater being really creeped out by that scene, going, oh my god, his son might get killed. Had it been his daughter, I wouldn't have felt that way. I wouldn't have had the stakes wouldn't have been as high as a fan of Batman. Now other people in the audience who maybe didn't even put two and two together. Oh, that's Barbara Gordon. That's Batgirl. That's Oracle. Yada yada yada. Might have the same feeling that I did in the theater when it was his son, thinking maybe he'll get killed. But Nolan will throw wild cards at you, and there's a lot of people even speculating that maybe he'll kill off a main character in this next movie because it's his last one, and he's liable to do things like that. So I don't think it could have been done any other way than how it was done.
I think when I saw it that it just didn't affect me that much because I don't see Robin existing in this universe, therefore Batgirl doesn't exist. So, it's cool that they have Barbara Gordon in there, but I just didn't see her as even a feasible future character within the Nolanverse.
I didn't either, but just the fact that that's a real character that people have heard of, that people know, he wouldn't have killed her. But I'm saying like it impacted me because it's a character it's a kid that might get killed on screen. That's scary in that scene. So that's all I'm saying.
You're right, because they gave exactly what they needed for the fans who are going to know, and for the people who are not going to know. They made the right choice.
We're made to really care about Gordon in that scene. I mean, in that movie, and so him getting, him being put into this scary ultimatum of "I'm going to shoot your kid," like that's scary. So I felt for him, and maybe he wouldn't have as much had it been his daughter. Anyway, that's my answer to that. King, we know King 191912 with games like. Hang on, I gotta read a book. With games like Shadow of the Colossus, Beyond Good and Evil, and Psychonauts, none of which I've played.
I've demoed two of them.
Hardly heard of. Evolving narrative and character-based gaming, and games like Bioshock, Portal, Half-Life 2, Uncharted, and many current generation games actually relying heavily on narrative and character and being very good at it. Do you feel the standpoint of video games are not art has lost all validity?
Well, first of all, does Portal really have a story? It's about you're shooting holes in walls trying to get to something that says the cake is a lie. So,
well, the first one, I haven't played Portal 2, so maybe there's a story there that I don't know about it. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say this. I mean, the big question is, are they art? Whatever. If you want to say that they're art, certainly, sure. What's the guy's name that originally got a lot of flack for saying this?
What, Ebert?
Yeah, Ebert. Ebert's big point was that there's differences between high art and low art, but
no, his point was it's not a narrative medium.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to come down on it here, is that I think you can have a good story in a video game. I think that a story is better serviced in a movie or a novel or a short story or a comic book where all elements are controlled. Otherwise, you're going to end up with an extremely linear game.
I'm going to cop out a little bit here. I'm going to say I'm not qualified to answer this question because I haven't been playing a lot of current modern games, and what I have, I've been frustrated because I'm just not very good at them. A lot of games these days are too complicated for me, and I don't have the patience for them, and so I just don't play them. So I see why this might be more valid now than it was 10 or 15 years ago, because there certainly can be more complicated storytelling happening in a game because we have these very involved and involved cutscenes with really good cinematics and things like that. So I get it. I see what King's talking about. I can't speak to it because I'm not playing those. You see what I'm saying? So like maybe so. It's still to me, most of the games that I've played, even more current games, I still have felt like even if the story and the cutscenes and stuff is good, I don't know why that has to be a video game before it's something else. I don't really get the idea that the interactiveness somehow enhances a story. I don't get that. That doesn't make sense in my brain. I guess the point is supposed to be it immerses you more because you are the character, but I have not had that experience yet. I maybe came close with Arkham Asylum, but I got frustrated because I wasn't very good at it by halfway through, and I never finished it. So I hate even admitting that because a lot of gamers' complaints with it is that it was too easy, and I couldn't get through it. Anyway, yeah.
For me as a gamer, and I'm not a very big avid gamer. I'm more fond of the casual games, but when I'm playing a game that has a story. And in order to tell that story, they either have to put words in my character's mouth, or they have to take control away from me in order to tell the story, i.e. cutscenes, or like they did in Half-Life, where they just have people talking to you and you just kind of stand there and listen to them, and then just decide to go along with them, because what else are you going to do? You can have an interesting story in a game. That doesn't necessarily mean that, in my opinion, I'd rather have a movie or a comic book. If I'm going to play a game, I just want the game.
And again, for us, that's just a taste issue thing, so I'm not sure I can speak on the is it art or is it not art thing.
And there is something to be said that you can't necessarily have a game where there's a lot of interesting concepts, like you're playing a game like Bioshock. You need to have something that's moving you from place to place, otherwise you're just going around shooting these crazy characters.
Yeah.
So you need some kind of narrative in a game, but to really put a lot of stock in the narrative, I say gameplay's more important.
Anyway, so but that's why we didn't make that a full video, because I just don't feel like we're the people that are really qualified to talk about that.
No, my favorite game's Rock Band, so what are you gonna do? I mean, I can drum and I can sing some Queen, but that's
my
about
favorite
it.
games are Sonic games before they put story in them. Once story was there, they got bad.
Yeah.
Next question comes from 2 Mercy. Could you guys do a video like you did for your favorite movies on who your favorite comic book characters are? If not, that's okay, but thanks for reading. Well, I guess it's in the Q&A, so the answer to the question is no. But that's only because we've done, we talked a lot about our favorite comic book characters over the years that we've been on doing the Geekvolution things. So maybe we should throw out a few of our favorite characters right now. I just don't see doing a whole video on it because I think it'll be redundant. But your top 3, go.
Top 3, I'm going to give you a 5.
Okay, all right, do it. We can do that right here. Here's your video. Just act like this is the beginning of the video.
Comic book characters to collect, not necessarily for stories, but, in figures as well.
That's how you're going to do this?
Yeah, that's how I'm going to do it, because they are comic book characters. Two-Face, I don't necessarily read a lot of it, but
Actually, that makes it easier for me, too. Okay, go ahead.
I own a lot of Two-Face toys. The Thing, Ben Grimm, I love The Thing. The Question, The Shadow, because he's been in a lot of comics. Granted, he's not traditionally a comic book character. But, and The Punisher. I mean, those are my big, these are the things I collect. Oh, I guess I'll toss the Beast in there too, because I always I have these like toes that I can pick things up with. I know you didn't want to know that, but I'm like really have agile feet.
I didn't want to know that.
I have agile feet, and every time somebody's with me in my apartment, or I'm not wearing shoes, there'll be something on the floor, I'll pick it up with my foot and hand it to myself, and they're like, "Geez, Beast, what are you, a freak?" And I say, that's not a kind word. I've been working on a serum to get rid of that. Anyway.
Well, I just lost my entire train of thought. No, I'm kidding. I'm gonna go with, how can I do 5? I'll try.
Do as many as you like.
I'll try. Batman, certainly. That's a cop-out, isn't it? Galactus. I love Galactus. Venom. Most certainly. Lex Luthor. We was the comic book characters, right? Not just superheroes.
Yeah, I said
Two-Face. I'm sorry, you did say Two-Face. So. Yeah. So that's 4, and then, boy, I'm not sure who the 5th one would be. I mean, like, Superman should probably be somewhere close to there, but I seem to like Superman more for some of his supporting characters than for Superman himself. But I don't want to put Doomsday on the list, because that's just weird. You know what I mean? Because he's a plot device, but for some reason I just get excited every time he's there.
Thanos?
Who am I not thinking of? I like Thanos a lot, but I don't know if I want to put Thanos in the... I don't know. Daredevil's close. I do really like Daredevil, but I'm really picky about Daredevil. Like, I only like Daredevil in really specific places. My list kind of changes around every so often. Like, there's certain characters I get more excited about at different times. Like, Green Arrow is getting closer and closer. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so... Yeah.
Oh, I guess I'll add these 2, not necessarily my favorite, but honorable mentions, because I do collect their comics.
Okay, alright.
The Rocketeer and Monkey Man and O'Brien.
I should mention Spawn, because I am a big Spawn fan, but like, Al Simmons drives me crazy, but I like his universe, you know what I mean? It's one of those things. So, yeah. I'm sorry, 1 second, let me find this. Okay, 123 Rock Fan asks, oh no, what's your single favorite moment in film?
I'm going to have to go... My answer is that this is going to change from week to week.
I've been thinking about this whole time, and I'm still having a hard time thinking.
This is not necessarily to say that something's going to come out tomorrow that's going to change my mind, but it just depends on what that moment is, like what I've been thinking about, what I've been watching, and what am I really into at this particular moment. It could be something from silent film. It could be something from today. So it's just what is it that has a lot of meaning to you. But right now, I'm going to go with one of my favorite movies of all time. When the Blues Brothers reach over to the guy to get the receipt and everything at the end of the movie, and they get those cuffs slapped on them, and then there's guns pointing at them. So they're standing in a room full of guns, and it's just a couple of musicians that happen to tear up the town trying to save an orphanage, and that's what happens at the... I've ruined it for you guys if you haven't seen it, but that's my favorite moment. It's cool. I like it. What's yours?
Think. Yeah, it's... one of them is, once again, ruining this if you don't know. One of them is certainly Spock's death at the end of Wrath of Khan. That's that's a big one. For a long time, it was, and I don't know why, but it was the scene in Batman '89 where the Joker says, "I'm glad you're dead." When I was a kid, I used to walk around quoting that all the time. I'm glad you're dead.
I like that one a lot.
And I think, and we're talking about things that have meaning to us. I've never brought this up before. Can I mention this real fast? Once again, I defend Batman '89 constantly, and part of it I've always said is somewhat of a nostalgic thing because I grew up with it, and it's my first remembrance of Batman. My dad and I watched that movie together, not once, but 100 times. I mean, like, my dad and I, when I was a kid, watched that together a lot. And I think that's part of why that movie, why that movie has such validity to me, and then why I remember that scene so well, because he and I used to quote that movie back and forth constantly all the time. And so yeah, it's just, I got this thing with my dad with that movie. So I think that's probably why.
No, that's cool.
And there's some other scenes in that movie the same way. Okay, Superbad of America asks, I have a really good question for an episode. We'll be the judge of that. No, I'm kidding. How do you feel about the Spider-Man reboot? Because Chris Nolan waited over 10 years to reboot Batman, and the Hulk was rebooted fast and didn't do very well. Yeah, okay, so, well, we talked about this a little bit when we did the Spider-Man reboot video when it was first announced.
Yeah, so we talked about it a lot of it.
Oh, no, that's true. Yeah, back then. But let's tackle it one more time really fast. First of all, I will say that the teaser trailer has come out, and it looks really cool, and I'm just super pumped for it. I still say they should have waited a while. I still say that. But that's not going to make the movie bad.
Yeah. And me, I don't care. I mean, the only reason that I would get upset with these, constantly rebooting things, if we constantly have to see the same story over and over of, oh, this is how he gets his powers, and he's going to fight the same bad guy,
right,
and all this type of stuff. I don't care if they want to change the character, change the actor, change it all up. Make it a good movie. I'll watch it.
Vince, we have several more questions,
and we are at about a half an hour on our video.
Yeah, so why don't we go ahead and cap it off now? We're halfway, maybe a little over halfway through the questions. In a couple weeks, we'll do another GNN Q&A video. We'll do a regular GNN next time, and then a couple weeks from now, we'll do one of these again. And we'll get to some more of these questions. And that's what we're going to do. So thanks a lot for watching. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince, reminding you to support your local comic book store.
We'll see you next time.